the moment she fired him, the single dad didn't argue. He didn't beg. He didn't even look angry. He simply stood there with his daughters' crayon drawing still tucked beneath his arm. Took a slow breath, and smiled. "Okay," he said quietly. Karen Whitmore frowned. "Okay." Yes. She expected tears. Anger. Maybe a desperate speech about rent, groceries, or the little girl who waited for him at daycare every afternoon. Instead, he straightened his worn blue work shirt and gave Karen the same polite smile he had given her every morning for the past 8 months. Then he added, "Before I leave, though, you might want to check who owns this building." The conference room went silent. Karen's expression changed. "What did you say?" The man reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "I said you should check who owns this building." Someone near the window stopped typing. The HR manager, Denise, slowly lowered her pen. Karen stared at him. His name was Daniel Brooks. 38 years old. Single father. Maintenance supervisor. And, as far as Karen knew, one of the lowest paid employees in the entire building. He fixed broken elevators, unclogged sinks, repaired air conditioning units, carried boxes, replaced light bulbs, and stayed late whenever someone needed help. He had never complained. Not even when Karen had once called him at 10:30 on a Saturday night because the executive floor was too warm. Daniel had shown up 20 minutes later. His daughter, Lily, had been asleep in the back seat. Karen remembered that now. She remembered seeing the little girl curled beneath a pink blanket while Daniel worked. But she pushed the thought away. "This is not the time for games," Karen said. Daniel nodded. "I agree." She slid the termination papers across the table. "Your position is eliminated effective immediately." Daniel looked at the papers. Then at her. "You mean fired?" Karen's jaw tightened. "Yes. Fired." Daniel nodded again. "Thank you for being honest." Denise looked uncomfortable. "Daniel, I'm sorry. This decision came from upper management." Daniel glanced at Karen. "No, it didn't." Karen's face hardened. "Excuse me. You made the decision. I'm the regional director. And that's why you made it." Karen stood. "Security can escort you out." Daniel smiled again. That smile bothered her more than anger would have. He gathered his things. His toolbox. His old thermos. A photograph of Lily. And the crayon drawing. At the door, he paused. "Karen." "What?" "My daughter thinks I'm the best dad in the world." Karen stared at him. Daniel's voice softened. "I'd really like to keep it that way." Then he walked out. Nobody moved. For several seconds, the room remained frozen. Karen finally exhaled. "Good. That's finished." But it wasn't. Not even close. Daniel walked downstairs to the lobby. The receptionist, Maria, looked up. "Daniel." He smiled. "Looks like I'm unemployed." Her eyes filled with concern. "Oh, Daniel. Why?" "Budget cuts." Maria knew that was a lie. Everyone knew. Daniel had spent months covering shifts for sick employees without asking for overtime. He had fixed Maria's broken car battery one winter morning because she couldn't afford a mechanic. He had even brought groceries to an elderly security guard whose wife had been hospitalized. Daniel never talked about those things. He simply did them. Maria stood. "Do you need anything?" Daniel shook his head. "I need a job. I know someone." He laughed softly. "Then I need that person." Maria grabbed her phone. And while she called, Daniel walked outside. His daughter was waiting at daycare. When Lily saw him, she ran into his arms. "Daddy." Daniel caught her. She squeezed his neck. "You're early." "Yeah. Did you get off work?" Daniel looked at his little girl. Her pink backpack was covered with tiny stars. He remembered the words he had spoken in the conference room. "I'd really like to keep it that way." He kissed her forehead. "Something like that. Are we going home?" Daniel smiled. "Yep." But before they reached the car, his phone rang. "Mr. Brooks." "Yes." "This is David Chen." Daniel stopped. David Chen was the founder of Brooks & Chen Properties, one of the largest commercial real estate companies in the city. Daniel had met him only once. Years ago. At a charity event. "I understand you're no longer employed at Whitmore Plaza," David said. Daniel looked at Lily. "News travels fast." David chuckled. "It does when the person who fired you works in a building your company owns." Daniel's eyes closed. There it was. The secret he had never wanted to reveal. 8 months earlier, Daniel had accepted the maintenance job under his middle name, Daniel Brooks. He had deliberately kept his ownership of the building private. His father had founded Brooks & Chen Properties decades earlier. After his father died, Daniel inherited a substantial portion of the company. But Daniel hated being treated differently because of money. After Lily's mother died unexpectedly, he wanted something ordinary. A job. A routine. A reason to wake up every morning. He wanted to know who people were when they thought he had nothing. And what he learned had been more valuable than any financial statement. He learned who helped. Who ignored. Who judged. Who treated janitors like invisible people. And who remembered their names. David continued. "Your father always said you were too soft-hearted to run a company." Daniel smiled. He was probably right. He was wrong. Daniel glanced at Lily. "What do you need?" "I need you at the office tomorrow morning." Daniel sighed. "I'm not interested in revenge." "I didn't call you for revenge." "Then why?" "Because the company is struggling. We need someone who understands what employees actually experience." Daniel was quiet. David lowered his voice. "And because your father left you something." Daniel's smile disappeared. "What?" "I'll explain tomorrow." That night, Daniel put Lily to bed. She insisted on hearing the same bedtime story. The one about the little girl who rescued an injured bird. When the story ended, Lily looked at him. "Daddy." "Yeah." "Are you sad?" Daniel froze. Children noticed what adults tried to hide. "A little." "Because you lost your job?" "Yeah." Lily thought about it. Then she reached under her pillow and pulled out a crumpled envelope. "What's that?" "My money." Daniel blinked. "Your money?" "I saved it." She handed him the envelope. Inside were $3.47. Daniel stared at it. "For what?" "For you." His throat tightened. "Lily. You need a job, right?" Daniel pulled her against his chest. She whispered, "You can have all of it." Daniel closed his eyes. Sometimes a person could have millions of dollars and still be reminded by a 6-year-old that wealth had nothing to do with generosity. The next morning, Daniel entered Brooks & Chen Properties. He wore the same blue work shirt. But this time, people stood when he walked by. He hated it. David met him upstairs. Then he handed Daniel a thick folder. Inside was a letter from his father. Daniel read it silently. "Son. If you are reading this, you are probably angry with me." Daniel laughed through the tears forming in his eyes. His father knew him too well. The letter continued. "Money can build buildings. It cannot build character. If you ever run this company, remember the people who clean the floors after everyone else goes home. Remember the receptionist who smiles when nobody smiles at her. Remember the father who worries about daycare while fixing someone else's broken air conditioner. And remember that leadership is not standing above people. It is standing beside them." Daniel lowered the letter. David nodded. "Your father wanted you to take over operations." Daniel shook his head. "I don't know if I can." "You already have." Daniel looked at him. How? David smiled. You worked at your own building. For 8 months without telling anyone who you were. Daniel looked down at the letter. I learned a lot. Good. Because we need to make changes. That afternoon, Daniel called an emergency meeting. Karen Whitmore was there. So was Denise. Karen looked nervous. Daniel entered the room. She stood immediately. Daniel, I owe you an apology. He held up a hand. Please sit. She did. Daniel looked around the room. I could fire everyone who participated in what happened yesterday. Karen swallowed. But I won't. Everyone stared. Because if I use power to punish people simply because I can, I become the kind of person I never wanted to be. Karen's eyes lowered. Daniel continued. Karen, you fired a father without asking what losing his paycheck would mean. She whispered, I was under pressure. I know. I thought we needed to cut costs. We did. She looked up. Daniel slid a report across the table. But you cut the wrong costs. The report showed executive bonuses, consulting expenses, unnecessary luxury renovations, and millions spent on contracts that provided almost no benefit. Karen stared at the numbers. Daniel said quietly, you were trying to save the company by squeezing the people who had the least room to breathe. Nobody spoke. Then Daniel did something unexpected. He offered Karen a job. Not her old job. A new position overseeing community partnerships and employee support. Karen looked stunned. Why? Because you're good at identifying problems. She almost laughed. Daniel smiled. But you need to learn how to see people inside those problems. Karen's eyes filled with tears. You really forgive me? Daniel shook his head. Forgiveness isn't pretending nothing happened. He paused. It's deciding that what happened doesn't get to decide what happens next. Karen looked down. Then she whispered, thank you. Months passed. The company changed. Employees received better benefits. A child care assistance program was created. The maintenance team received raises. A hardship fund helped workers facing emergencies. And every month, Daniel personally visited each department. He learned names. He listened. He remembered. One Friday afternoon, Daniel was walking through the lobby when he saw Maria at the reception desk. She smiled. Mr. Owner. Daniel groaned. Please don't call me that. She laughed. You own the building. I still hate hearing it. A small voice came from behind him. Daddy. Lily ran across the lobby. Daniel caught her. She wrapped her arms around him. I made you something. She handed him a drawing. Daniel unfolded it. There was a big building. A little girl. A man holding her hand. And above them was a bright yellow sun. Daniel smiled. You drew our company. Lily nodded. Everyone is in it. Daniel looked closer. There were people everywhere. The receptionist. The janitor. The security guard. The office workers. Even Karen. Daniel's eyes burned. What's the sun? Lily shrugged. That's kindness. Daniel looked at her. Why? Because Grandma says kindness makes dark places bright. Daniel pulled her close. Across the lobby, Karen watched quietly. She approached them. Lily. The little girl looked up. Karen held out a small wrapped box. I brought you something. Lily opened it. Inside was a pink lunchbox. Her eyes widened. It has unicorns. Karen smiled. I remembered you liked them. Daniel looked at Karen. She met his eyes. Neither needed to say anything. The building had changed. Not because the owner had finally revealed himself. Not because one woman had been embarrassed in a conference room. It changed because people had finally remembered something simple. Every person walking through Those doors carried a story nobody else could fully see. A father might be worrying about rent. A receptionist might be caring for a sick parent. A cleaner might be working 2 jobs. A manager might be struggling silently, too. And sometimes, the person you think has the least power is the person who can teach you the most about it. Daniel looked down at Lily.